Hello, dear friends. Welcome to this program, Moments with God. And I hope you are finding time to take little extra moments with God and trying to establish a relationship with God, becoming more and more aware about the need for God and for our contact with Him, to speak with Him, and eventually even to build a relationship with Him. I hope you're doing that and these videos are helping you. And if they are helping you, please share the video with others. And if you like, you may also subscribe to the channel. Please don't forget to press the bell icon as well. Thank you very much. Today, you see, I'm standing here before this lovely apple tree here. There are lovely apples there, as well as there is an apple tree here. You see, full of apples. And I will tell you in a minute why I am taken these apple trees. And I also have a book here, The Fulfillment of All Desires. I'll tell you in a minute the purpose of coming before the apple trees and this book. You know, in the book of Genesis, in the very first chapter, after God created them, male and female, He made them. He put them into Garden of Eden and forbade them not to eat the fruit of the tree, supposedly an apple tree. We don't know exactly, but it is always indicated or given a sign that it was an apple tree. Could have been any other tree, but the purpose is not whether it was apple or mango or coconut or jackfruit. No. The purpose is whether they were obedient to God, or whether they, being disobedient, gave into the desires that the snake put into Eve first, and Eve then tempted Adam. Yes, you know, when we see these lovely apples, if there were not a lot of trees around here, I would be tempted to pluck an apple and eat from here or from this tree or from any other. This desire is actually a very basic desire to eat something, especially when we are children and we grow up. We realize how we long for something, whether it is sweets or whether it is other things. I remember in my family, my desire was always to steal, I'm sorry to say that, steal from the kitchen. My mother used to keep this coconut, copra, dry copra in a pot to use for her cooking masala. And I used to like that. So I used to take a little bit of that, taste it and put it back, and then go on Saturday. We were all made to go to make confession. I would go and confess that I had stolen copra to eat. But you see, that desire as children then slowly either dwindles or disappears, but other desires take over. Other desires, as we grow up, slowly other desires like wealth, name, fame, power, money, wine, women for men and men for women, and these kind of desires keep growing. And that's why today in the very first reading from the book of Ecclesiastes, or also known as books from wisdom literature, the lesson begins by saying, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Of course, this is beautiful, but ultimately what the book says, all is vanity. Very important thing to remember. And then the book goes further to say, what does it profit a man to labor under the sun all his life and leave everything behind? This book is beautiful. I would recommend you to read that. And it says, you know, all the rivers lead into the sea, but the sea never gets fulfilled. Our eyes are never satisfied with what we see. We want to see more. Our ears hear so much, but they are never filled. So basically, the desire, and this is what Gautam the Buddha also says, that the problem of suffering in the world and the problem of evil, he may say, is all caused by our desires. If we become aware of our desires and control our desires, he says, a lot of our problems would be solved. But there is another kind of desire like we find in the gospel today. Herod the emperor who had got John the Baptist beheaded because of the daughter of Herodias, whom he had kept as his wife. It was his brother's wife, and illegally and illegitimately he had kept her. Yes, emperors have got a lot of desires for wealth, for power, for money, and women, and things like that. So he gave in to this desire. But one interesting thing one finds in the gospel today is that when he heard about Jesus, he began to think, who is this man that I hear about? Because John the Baptist I have beheaded, Elijah has come and gone. So who is this man about whom I hear so much? And the gospel says he had a desire to see Jesus. Whether he actually fulfilled his desire, we do not know, but this question of desire, a desire that can be for money, wealth, power, wine, women, etc., can also turn into desire to see God as he wanted to see Jesus. And that's why I brought this book before you. The book is called The Fulfillment of All Desires. Actually, by Ralph Martin. Actually, I have read this book twice and I am reading it again. This is a wonderful book. Ralph Martin is not a priest. He is a layman who is in search of contemplative life and prayer and in spiritual life, basically spiritual journey. He calls it a spiritual journey, and where it begins and how it can be converted for our own advantage. And what he says, quoting St. Teresa of Avila, St. Teresa of Child Jesus, John of the Cross, St. Augustine, St. John Paul II, the late Pope, and Bernard of Clairvaux, and some other saints, to say ultimately that yes, all our desires are ultimately fulfilled only in God. It is good to have our desires, and how our desires change. Ultimately, they should change towards God, seeking God, because it is God alone who can fulfill all our desires. Buddha, of course, says about controlling the desires, but no, instead of controlling the desires and becoming aware of them, if we can divert them and guide them towards God, because that is our ultimate union with God, is what is our ultimate aim. So I hope you will look for this journey of God and find the fulfillment of your desires in God. And if you want to subscribe to this channel, you may please do it now. And I would like to just inform you that on this channel of mine, there are also films that I have made in India on spiritual themes. You may like to watch them as well. Thank you.